friends, and enemies. Welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners Podcast. Ninja launch, 6:54 p.m. Nobody here yet. I don't hear. Here comes people. I can see them piling in. My name's Joey. That's Len. Buddy,
I'm here.
How are you?
I'm more than a nobody. I'm good, Joey. I'm very. Did you notice? I mean, I don't want to talk about the weather, but I just do want to bring it. You notice this morning, it was freaking cold, but then throughout the middle of the day, it just got nice and warm. I mean, Canadian warm for this time of year. Spring is in the air. Could you feel it? Could you smell it? Can you sense it?
I am ready for it, man. My dog is ready for it. I told you, I think last week, or I was saying to Mark last week in our chat, it's like for the first time in months now, I get up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, man, I can see the sunlight. I get to my back door. I just take a step outside. It's nice. I love it. I'm ready for spring like everybody else.
Like 6:20ish, 6:30ish, the sun is peeking up a little bit and you could kind of see some daylight. It's beautiful.
Totally.
And yeah, it's whatever. It is what it is. Joey, what a week, eh?
What a week.
What an interesting week we had.
What a week. We got a lot to talk about. Let's hit the sponsors first. EasyDNS, the friendly neighborhood registrar. Mark has been a friend of the show for a long time. And I'm going to pull up the website here as we maybe change the presentation of the sponsors. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up as I go. But Len and I have been using EasyDNS for a long time. We've been using it for our website and also for our iwantbitcoin.ca link, which you guys are using very frequently. Mark has everything you need when it comes to domains. So you see here, you can register a domain with EasyDNS. Super cheap. It's like $20 a year, which is basically nothing. Not to mention they have all this great stuff. Easy mail, easy web hosting. The WordPress stuff we use on our website, if I ever get around to writing something ever again, we'll continue to use it. And then, of course, money back guarantee. Not that you'd ever need it, but look at all these websites that are using Mark's services, including, of course, the famous Zero Hedge. And then also on top of that, if you are a Bitcoin enthusiast, is it on here somewhere? I don't know. If you're a Bitcoin enthusiast, you can use EasyDNS for all your Bitcoin needs. So if you want to do some virtual private server stuff, Bitcoin nodes, Nostr relays, nodeless implementations, BTC Pay Server, piece of cake. Go there, use our promo code, or just tell Mark we sent you. You get 50% off your first round of buys. So load the cart, Anon. Load the cart. Who's the second sponsor?
Well, it's Bull Bitcoin, so you might as well buy your Bitcoin from Bull Bitcoin, and you could pay your EasyDNS bill with Bitcoin as well. So it's a 2-for-1 right there. Look, the price of Bitcoin, last I checked, it was around 85K-ish. I don't know what it is right now. We've had a heck of a ride up, down, up and down. It's everywhere. But either way, in my opinion, it's a good time to buy, not financial advice. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin in 10 years. You think it's going to be sitting anywhere where it is right now? The value of it, in my opinion, is going to go way the fuck up. So where are you going to buy it? Obviously, Bull Bitcoin. That's where I and Joey make our buys. And you can sell your Bitcoin too. Like if you do need to sell it, you could do it as well. And on-chain and Lightning, you could do either of those, whatever you think is best. Right now, I still think that on-chain is number one because the fees are still very low, relatively low compared to the past. But other things you could do with Bull Bitcoin, you can start spending your Bitcoin in one of two ways. You could pay your bills with your Bitcoin, right? Like, everyone has bills. Nobody's going to get away from that. Unless, I don't know, maybe you're a thief or something. But if you're not, if you're like everybody else, you got bills to pay. So might as well pay those bills with your Bitcoin, with their bill service. The second thing you could do with Bull Bitcoin is get the gift cards, right? Like, let's get those gift cards and start spending that shit in the real world because there's no way to spend your Bitcoin right now in Canada directly. This is the way you do it indirectly. Buy those gift cards with Bull Bitcoin. These guys are best in the game. They got good service. If you need any help, reach out to them. They'll get in touch with you ASAP. They are non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. You don't want to have somebody hold on to your Bitcoin. You cannot facilitate a buy with Bull Bitcoin without an address because as soon as you make the buy and provide the address, your Bitcoin gets sent there. So check them out. Open an account with them. Use our promo code below, and $21 will be added to your account. No questions asked.
I love it. Let's do a little housekeeping here, and then we'll get to the boost. Last week, we had a pre-recorded interview with Tony from the Bitcoin Way. Great interview. I enjoyed listening to that one, Len. That was well done. Tony's got quite a story, as you noted, a guy who had the rug pulled from underneath him very suddenly several years back and has since rebounded to start the Bitcoin Way, a website that will help you get going and a service that will help you with your sovereignty. Last week, I appeared on Two Stewards, Brent and Mark's show. I don't think it's out yet. I'll check right now. I had a busy day today. I usually listen to my appearances on other shows because I want to improve. Yeah, it's not out yet.
Yeah, I didn't see it on my company list.
Yeah, those guys hosted me at their place. Very, very nice fellas. A wide-ranging chat about everything from faith to, the man's role in the household and, of course, Bitcoin and economics as well. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys do too. This week, Len is talking to who? Who you got?
UTXO. He's been on the show in the past. Yeah.
Nice.
He actually reached out. He wanted to come on because there's been some developments going on. And so I'd be happy to chat with him. He has an interesting story too. Remember he
Nodeless.
shuttered. Yeah, it was like just really quickly she shuttered his operation. So yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with him, and it'll be fun.
Gonna be great. I think next week I'm on Your Life, Your Terms too, now that I'm thinking about my schedule. But I'll have to double check that, and I'll tell you guys whenever that comes out. I think that's it. You want to do some boosts? Who do we get sats from, and what kind of stupid things are we saying out loud tonight as a result?
Well, Wartime 333 sats, a couple of beer mugs. He's consistent. I love Wartime. He's there you go. Cheers from Joey and me as well. Top W Cone 250 sats. Actually, this should have been first, but either way, he says, I use Fold. The fees get me daily spins of 5 to 10 sats a day, roughly 2,000 sats a year. Where it's worth it is the sats back. I get sats for every purchase with the card, just under 2 million last year on things I was going to buy anyways, gas, food, grocery, comic books, utilities, and that's before the bonus sats on gift card buys. They also let me round up to the nearest $1 and directly the change into buying Bitcoin and adds up to $10. So it adds up, and yeah, so he just he goes on and on. He says every 500,000 sats he gets, he sweeps into his cold cards or Sparrow with cold cards. So he gets the most out of it. I know that we were not talking too fondly of it going live on the NASDAQ exchange, but clearly he uses it to his advantage. So I'll give him credit.
Yeah. Hey man, get the sats any way you can. If you like the service, use it. This is a free world out there, right? So take advantage of the services that make the most sense for you. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Duggan Roop, 1025 sats. He says, easy in, hard out. How proper Bitcoin self-custody is like pregnancy.
Totally. Yeah, agree. Big agree there from me.
And Jer, 2000 sats. He says, great interview, Len. That's the one I had with Tony. And progressively worse, another 2,000 sats. He says, another interesting development from the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was a highly successful testing ground for Monsanto.
Oh, Monsanto, yeah.
And their herbicide products, Agent Orange, which was used to strip vegetation in Vietnam during this time. The contracts formed with the U.S. government bought a golden opportunity, pun intended, to research and develop a whole host of new products, one of which was development and production of glyphosate. Roundup?
Glyphosate.
Oh, okay. I never heard of that. But Roundup I've heard. That's pretty shitty stuff. You don't want to be near that. And it applied to food crops worldwide after years of legal battles involving health complications from people using herbicide and other products. 2018, the company acquisition was finalized between them and Bayer. Bayer got involved.
Bayer owns them now, yeah.
I didn't know that.
The lawyer who took Monsanto to court and won is one Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So also in the news these days.
Yeah, he says Bayer Crop Science Division, they offer products ranging from herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, to even genetically enhanced seeds for major crops like corn, soybeans, and wheat. They use more and more throughout the world every passing year. Talk about going full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened with Vietnam War.
Quite a story. I didn't realize that was the origin point for Agent Orange. Agent Orange is nasty stuff. I recommend everyone look into that saga. There's been like so many stories about Agent Orange and whether or not the U.S. is still using it or its sort of sister chemicals in the warfare. The show, The Newsroom, I think it's called, with Jeff Daniels and a few other notable actors and actresses. There's a plot line where the U.S. uses resin gas, I think, and they go into a little bit of the history of Agent Orange on that episode, I believe. As well. That's got to be like a 10 or 15-year-old show now. But it's a good one. If you haven't watched it, I recommend it. It's not too bad.
So for the boost, I just want to say, come to our Discord. Our Discord is rocking these days.
It is rocking. We did a 5-minute before the show Discord call where no one showed up because we didn't really advertise it too much. But there's like 300 people in there now or something, which is great. I was saying to our buddies Wayfaring and SB that if you look at the Simply Bitcoin Telegram channel, which is mostly just people bull posting, like retard posting about how the price is going to $1 million. A lot of low IQ stuff. No offense, Simply Bitcoin, but it's just the way it is over there. That channel has about 1,200 people, and Simply Bitcoin has 100,000 subs or so on YouTube. This channel has like 3,000 subs, and the Discord has only a few less people. Like 900 or so less, 1/4 of the Simply Telegram subscribers. This is an engaged community, and it's a growing community. And I think if you head to Discord, you'll find a lot of like-minded people who are producing good stuff, thinking the same way you are, and we'll challenge you day to day. It's a bright group. There's a lot of conversation there every day. So yeah, definitely recommend checking it out.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
Can't wait to talk about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, which I assume is where we're starting.
Aren't you pissed about this? Like, are you surprised at all?
I'm not. We've been talking about this forever, have we not? No politician will save you. Trump is a fun president. He's the most competent politician in any Western country, but he's still Trump. He's still doing this shit for him and his boys, and it is what it is, man. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? What do you have to say about it? I'm sure you have an opinion.
For anybody out there that is surprised by this, you have had a very difficult way of reading the room. It's not like this. It's not the people hanging around him are not shitcoiners. And it's not like we had the Trump coin, we had them buying wrapped Bitcoin, ETH, was it Eric Trump or Donald Trump?
One of the kids.
One of them is saying it's a good time to buy ETH. And so you have all these signals you see coming out of them. And it just makes sense that they're going to do this. And for people unaware, it is strategic crypto reserve, and it's going to be including stuff like Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Solana, ADA. Anything else I'm missing?
I think Solana, that's it. XRP, ADA. I mean, it says including, not limited to. So there's going to for sure be other, mid to low cap shit coins. I would guess. Like, what's stopping them from adding something like I don't know.
Doge.
What's a good example? No, won't be Doge, but like,
why not? Because of Elon Musk's.
No, it won't be.
He seems to like it. I'm guessing.
I think you need like an actual. The bar seems to be like dev team / issuer / longevity, and they aren't. I don't think they're going to venture into shitcoin territory, like really meme coin territory. But the thing about the meme coin, aspect or angle is that Solana really is just a meme coin chain now, right? Like no one's buying Solana for any other reason than you can get some dog whiff hat or whatever is on there, right? Pepe coin. I'm not sure what else is going on over there. Some other shitcoins that you can't really say on the air, but yeah.
Is dog whiff hat peppier?
I think it is. Let me see. Dog whiff hat.
I'm so far out of tune with that stuff. I'm almost embarrassed in a way. I mean,
dog whiff hat is on Sol. It's a
Sol, but is that a peppy? I don't know. Fuck it. Who gives a shit?
The logo for dog whiff hat is pretty funny. It's just like a Shiba Inu with a knitted hat. I mean, I give these guys credit. They are funny. These people are funny. I don't know if I trust them with my monetary policy, but they're funny.
This whole thing.
Oh, Mark is in the chat saying no. Maybe it's not. Okay, so maybe it's not on Solana. I don't know.
I don't even give a shit. It's all garbage. That's the reality. But the fact that do you remember not too long ago, just last year, we had Trump going to the conference down there and talking about Bitcoin, this and that, and people that were associated with it, they've been thumping their chest. WIF is originally on ETH, I think, according to Mark. So
yeah, there we go.
They've been saying that this whole strategic Bitcoin reserve, these guys, they've been thumping their chest. This is the only thing that's going to happen. There's no way they're going to do anything else. But we've had every indication, including the note from the president himself on Truth Social, saying that it's all going to be about Bitcoin and a bunch of garbage, right? So like, what the fuck? Like these guys, and I'm talking about the people associated with Bitcoin Magazine and the Bitcoin Conference. Those are the people that they are the ones that we're talking about. They know nothing. Don't listen to those guys. They're giving you false hope. They're giving you false signals here. It's fucking bullshit. Don't listen to them whatsoever. And there's a conference coming up this year. I have no intention of going there, Joey. I'm not sure.
We're both going. I got us. I got us VIP at Wet Republic. We're going to Wet Republic during the day. You didn't know? I got us a cabana.
And I'll be honest, if somebody said, I'll give you 1 Bitcoin to go there, I'm not going to go.
No, come on.
No, some things are worth more.
Oh, the conference. I thought you meant Wet Republic. Wet Republic's a great time.
Oh, no,
I don't even know if it's still open. It was a long time ago I went there.
So with respect to this, and the question is, what are they going to do with it? Like, are they simply going to buy it? Like, how are they going to accumulate this? Because this is some.
Thing. Yeah. Go ahead.
They have some, right? The U.S. Marshal Service has some
Bitcoin.
Not just Bitcoin. I think they've accumulated other things as well through all the seizures they've done over the years. Right? I'm not saying that they would have this. By the way, XRP, their team out there, like they're pumping up, they're fucking phenomenal. Because I can't believe that people are buying into this. By the way, like their propaganda team is on par with just about anything else in the world, probably the best in the world. Either way, this U.S. Marshal Services, they're the ones that hold on at least some of the Bitcoin that they have seized, and I'm sure they got other things. But is that what they're going to be doing rather than giving it back to the Bitcoin they seized? No, I don't see that happening. Somehow they're going to have to accumulate this. And in what mechanism? Every year they're hemorrhaging money. They're deficits every year, 36 trillion in debt. How are they going to manage to get anything? I don't know. But this can be a boom for Coinbase for two reasons. Number one, to date, every time the U.S. government sells the Bitcoin they seize, they've used Coinbase to do it. Right? They've been the exchange of choice. So if they're going to buy
for selling,
yeah. So if they're going to buy, why wouldn't they use the same exchange to do it? Not to say that this is going to be a massive gain for them. It's another business venture for them. I can't believe I'm pumping a fucking Coinbase, but the reality is they're the ones that are probably going to be doing it. Number one. Number two, are they going to be doing any custodial services? Maybe. I've done some research and I can't find that the U.S. Marshal Services is relying on Coinbase to custody their Bitcoin. I think the U.S. Marshal Services, from what I gather, hold on to their own Bitcoin. So somehow the United States government is going to hold on to anything that they accumulated over the years. That's what I'm guessing.
Holding is not the thing though. Like the holding is fine. Because they have Bitcoin. I'm trying to find out what else they have. They have Bitcoin. Let's say they have a few other things. That was the whole point of the strategic reserve in the first place. And now, like, there's no way they've confiscated any SOL, is there? Like, it's a relatively new token. It's like a year old or something, 2 years old.
No. FTX had a major stake in SOL. In terms of, like, they were like heavily involved with it. That was 2022.
3 years old. Okay.
No, but it's older than that. Solana's like many years old.
I don't think that it is. I don't think that it is. The only reason I say that is because Solana really took away some of the Ethereum use case as far as like these ICO / adding tokens, right? Like it became easier to do this other places. Solana was one of them.
So March 2020.
2020?
March 2020.
Okay, so let's say 2020. That's like 5 years. I don't know if they seized any. I guess we're going to find out. I'm looking right now. But they have, it looks like they have notable holdings. This is from Grok. Bitcoin, ETH, Tether, Litecoin, and Cardano. But
so there's your ADA.
I don't see any. Yeah, I don't see any of the other ones. And like I said, there's going to be more garbage on there for sure. Isn't the whole point of this, like, if you look at the directionality of like the lawsuits against Kraken and Coinbase, both dropped in the last 2 weeks. Same weekend, you have Little Trump talking about, oh, it's a great weekend to buy ETH. Always buy the dips in ETH and BTC, and then they announce the reserve. Literally a day later, Little Trump, one of them is like, yeah, this is the first time the consumer's been able to do something like this and benefit off of it. We did this on a Sunday. Markets weren't open. You know, I hope I made someone's life better. Like that used to be a securities violation. I never thought I'd say it, but I'm like that Wolverine holding the picture in bed meme. And like, it's a picture of Gary Gensler, you know, like where is Gary to enforce the rules here?
Are we looking at Gary Gensler? Because I remember when he left,
a little bit. I mean, he didn't get everything right, but the thing that he did get right was saying to these guys, you can't just fucking issue and sell and pump and dump whatever you want under the guise of it's a collectible, it's a Pokemon card, because it's not. And you know, like this is exactly why. And we've talked about this many times in the past. But when you have one asset, right, that gives an entire ecosystem, like I don't know if legitimacy is the right word, but it gives like everyone wants a piece of that ecosystem, right? Crypto. everyone thinks that it's the next thing they want to get in on. So we've dealt with this with XRP in the past, somehow still dealing with it in 2025. We've dealt with it with ADA, Litecoin, Ethereum. All these tokens always say we're going to be better than Bitcoin. We're the next Bitcoin. We're doing this better than Bitcoin. We have this this coding software, this issuance schedule, whatever. It's all just synthetic garbage. But no president or politician ever went all in on it until now. This guy did the Trump coin. He did World Liberty Fi, made the World Liberty Fi purchases public. I should have looked at what those World Liberty Fi purchases were. I guarantee they were like carbon copies of this. And now he's talking about a strategic crypto reserve. The interesting thing is that on the 21st of February, the crypto task force led by Hester Pierce, crypto mom, okay, very pro Bitcoin. You could say she's pro crypto, maybe, I don't know. But they met with Mike Saylor, these people.
Yeah.
And Saylor, like I'm looking at the document that he shared with them. Like Saylor's another guy who's turned out to be he's a turncoat, I think, in a lot of ways, my personal opinion. The document he shared with them was defining digital asset classes. And he's got a bunch of different ones here: digital commodities, digital securities, digital currencies, digital tokens, digital NFT, and then digital ABT, which is a physical asset like gold, oil, whatever. And he's talking about a bunch of stuff in the document. I may as well just share it here. But the point is that these guys at the SEC, the crypto task force, know what a security is and isn't. Trump and his team know what a security is and isn't. And certainly guys like David Sachs know what a security is and isn't. And still, what do we get? We get documents like this, where they're basically telling people, look, here's what I think you should do. And like for Saylor to say this tells me he's a bit of a turncoat. The SEC task force, maybe they have input on what goes on in the crypto reserve. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But no one seems to care anymore. That is what I'm getting at. Nobody cares what the rules are or were or anything. And now it's just a free-for-all. Is it not? Isn't that what the takeaway is from all this? That it's the Wild West yet again? It's back to like 2017 rules where anything goes?
It sounds like it. It seems like it. And what's the path moving forward?
Look at this.
I don't know.
This is from Saylor. Saylor's supposed to understand there is no second best. Does this look like there is no second best to anybody? Is that what that looks like to anybody?
No. For people that are wondering, is talking about there's NFT at the very top. So look, he understands Bitcoin, but he has lived his whole life in a fiat world, as a CEO for a number of years of MicroStrategy. So this is the world he lives in and he breathes in. It's hard for him to unplug from that. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not trying to give him a pass. I'm just saying this is just the reality of it. He doesn't suffer the same impact to a dying currency that other people are. Like if you're on the bottom end of the spectrum, the economic spectrum, you don't have a buffer when the currency gets devalued 5-10% in a few months or a year or two. Mm-hmm. But when you have tens of millions or $100 million in the banking, I have no idea how much he's worth. I don't think he feels that same type of pain. So he wakes up, he's probably signing papers to do with his company, board meetings. He's all fiat, right? And he may understand Bitcoin, but he doesn't truly understand it. If you don't know what I mean. So
I just want to know, like Boomer's in the chat saying Saylor's trying to keep the heat off himself. I'm not saying I'm not saying Boomer's necessarily saying this, but I'm fucking sick of it talking about how Saylor is operating at some level that's just above my intelligence. I don't understand. He's making moves. He's playing the game. I'm tired of it.
No, I think he's a different level below us, Joey. That's what I'm trying to get. The
game he's playing is getting rich and using Bitcoiners to pump his profile. That is the game he's playing. And if you think it's a different game, good for you, but you're wrong. And if that's a game you want to play, good for you. You do it. Go for it. But I think it's hard to imagine that you're going to be able to get out of that unscathed. These other tokens they got Brad Garlic Bread and these other fucking weirdos in the Trump, ear and in the ear of his staff and his kids. I don't know. Like, I don't buy any of this stuff. And I don't think anyone else should buy it either. I think this is a pretty obvious scam. And the most generous interpretation is Trump just doesn't know what he's talking about and the team doesn't know enough. And the least generous is they know exactly what they're doing and hope that you don't. So Make of that what you will. By the way, people saying he's pumping his bags. His bags are back down today. So his bags are not doing that well. His XRP bag is where it was basically 4 years ago. XRP has barely made a new high. Bitcoin is the only thing making new highs in any real way. So it's not like these bags are working. He may be able to offload or unload some of his garbage at a higher price, but he's not like, they're not hitting like life-changing home runs here for anybody, which is how Trump made it sound on Twitter. Oh, we're doing great things for people. Like, okay, man.
I don't understand what is the appeal for XRP. I don't even want to talk about it. Fuck it.
There is no appeal. It's
100%.
It's unit bias. It's the same shit every week. We saw in one of our group chats today, you know, a chiropractor, the shaman of the medical field, talking about how he thinks it's going to be the thing that backs the currency is XRP. Like, this is just like low brow.
And you hear this all the time. That's why
over and over again for 7 years now. We've heard it. 8 years. We've heard
their marketing team is fucking on the ball, and that's what I have to just give them. They know how to market, and they've done a very good job. But not to say that I'm praising them. I'm praising the marketing team. And there's something else I just want to bring up. And a lot of people saw this, and I hope a lot of people digested this. Remember, 2 days ago, it was reported on X. A lot of people are saying this whale out there did a 50x
long.
Yeah, he leveraged on a lot on Bitcoin, but even more on ETH.
Shocker.
Then very next day came out this news from Trump, and then Bitcoin went up like 10%, and everything went up quite a bit. This is the garbage that we're dealing with. That there are people out there, they may say they're talking and they're working in our best interest. But the reality is they're working in their best interest.
Totally.
They're trying to make money for themselves, and they don't care about the little guy. They don't care about any. It's just them. And this is the stuff, and it fucking pisses me off. Like, between that, the strategic crypto reserve, the Zelensky fucking argue. Like, the past, like, going to work, like I was just irate today at work. And a few things fucking took me off that made me feel good at the end. But like, I just like all this shit, it drives me fucking bonkers when I see this.
Yeah.
People out there, and that's why I like Bitcoin. It takes away the power of money from the people that fucking manipulate it. And they can't with Bitcoin. And every time I go through these cycles here, and almost on a couple of days basis, so these cycles are going faster and faster for me. I can't buy enough Bitcoin. I can't put enough of my money into Bitcoin. I am so happy every time I do that, because I'm buying something which I have. Nobody could fuck with. The price may go up and down, or the value of it may go up and down on a 24-hour basis, but I don't care. That does not anger me at all. It's the shit like this that does fucking anger me. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody but themselves. And fuck them all. And I hope everybody out there does the same thing. When you buy Bitcoin and you do a little smile, you say, yes, I'm fucking them over, but not giving them my money. I'm buying my fucking Bitcoin for myself. I don't know. I get tired of this shit. And I can't believe people are just like fucking irate. As irate as I am.
They don't have time to be irate, right?
They're working 24/7. They're tired.
The only people that are irate are people who don't own any. I think Bitcoiners are annoyed, but not really that affected. And the shitcoiners are feeling good because their bags, which we're never going to get any traction, by the way, because there's just too many options now, are able to sell at a higher level. This, by the way, happening at the same time. Speaking of like strategic reserves and like what we should be holding or what the U.S. government should be holding, Bitcoin now recommended as part of the BlackRock model portfolio for the alternative asset division, 1% to 2%. They're recommending the IBIT ETF, obviously, but the fact still stands that like whether you think BlackRock gets it or not, they're not interested in anything but Bitcoin over there. It seems like. So you got even the most fiat types understand that like as a hedge against the system you just described, there is no Ethereum. There is no. Like this is the asset to have. This is the risk off asset, basically, not this other stuff. And the U.S. government basically going the other direction. They're all in on garbage. Again, they're like they can't get it right. Too many grifters, too many hands in the pie. Never fails. This is the result you're gonna get when you get these people all clamoring for exit liquidity, and the government's gonna be the exit liquidity. It's almost unbelievable.
And with all this being said, We talked about the Strategic Crypto Reserve, the Crypto Task Force. You know that we have something coming up, and there's going to be a crypto summit that's being held by the White House.
That's in 4 days. It's Friday, I think.
March 7th. Yeah, 4 days. Circle this on your calendar, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a fucking shit show. So they say it's going to will include prominent founders, CEOs, and investors from the crypto industry, as well as members of the president's working group on digital
Why do we need
assets.
investors from the crypto industry at the crypto summit?
Why don't they invite the CEO of Bitcoin? Oh, yeah. Okay, I can understand why.
I don't check my mail that often, Len, but I don't think I got invited. I'll have to see if my invite is like lost somewhere. But yeah.
Would you? You know what? That's one. I would fucking, and I'd go in with fucking guns a blazing. If they invited me, I'd fucking go there, and I'd be happy to get kicked out. That's what I would go there with the intention of getting fucking escorted out and being put on a list.
These guys having a crypto summit. Like, sorry to cut off the story details there, but having a crypto summit with investors in these tokens. What do you think the investors are going to suggest that you do as a White House? What do you think?
Buy into what they're offering?
Buy my bags, right? Yeah. Like pump my bags. I said this on the Two Stewards show on Friday, and so I'll kind of spoil a little bit of that discussion. But the thing about Bitcoin is that I can tell you to buy it, and you can either do it or not do it, but I'm not doing it because I want my bags to pump. Me telling you to buy Bitcoin doesn't pump my bags. I'm not going to sell you my Bitcoin. I do it because I know what it did for me, both in terms of like financial freedom, in terms of my, outlook on life, in terms of my outlook on my relationships, my marriage, my household. The things it's done for me have been incredible. And I want that for you. Is that what the Solana guy says? Is that what the Ethereum guy says? Is that what the ADA, the XRP? You think Brad Garlinghouse gives a fuck what your time horizon is? Like the Bitcoin, like the XRP Twitter sphere is nonsense, okay? It's clickbait, it's rocket ships, it's garbage. The Bitcoin Twitter sphere is like fitness, family formation, homesteading, building wealth, financial freedom to support your community, finding passion projects that are going to make a difference in your life and the lives of people you love. When I go to Bitcoin Twitter, that's what I see. When I go to these other places, I just see nonsense. I see the exact kind of thing I'm trying to get away from. And these guys are buying boats and cars and going on vacation. That's why, by the way, it's very rare, if at all, you ever see a Bitcoin quote unquote spokesperson, as far as there is one, getting nabbed for criminal activities, getting nabbed for fraud or embezzlement or whatever. But where do you always see it, Len? You always see it in the altcoins. You always see it in the altcoin exchanges. Fuck, the CEOs of these things are going down. They're going to jail. What? You don't see that in Bitcoin. You just don't. And so when I hear Crypto Summit, all I hear is more bullshit, more nonsense. Get back on the flywheel, financial nihilism, sprinkle your chips on every single, slice of the roulette wheel and just hope it fucking hits. Because otherwise, it's a lifetime of destitution for you. And that's where people are now. And then more of this stuff is going to keep coming as long as Trump is in office. And we always said on this show that politicians were not going to save you. There are politicians who are better for Bitcoin than others. Trump is better for Bitcoin than Biden, for example. But there's a lot of runoff, a lot of side effects. This is a big thing that's going to land on a lot of people's laps in the next little while. And people who have hated Bitcoin for a long time and equate it with crypto are going to keep doing it. And we're going to look so stupid. Does it matter? Maybe not to you and me. But for people who are trying to think about or trying to start thinking about getting into Bitcoin as a savings vehicle, they might not have the resilience, right? They may not have the iron skin that you do. And they may wind up over there, or they may wind up out of the ecosystem altogether. They may wind up in bonds or mutual funds or whatever. Like, that's the problem. That's the thing you want to avoid as a species, right? But this is not going to happen if this kind of nonsense and behavior is going to continue. Period. End of story. It's just not going to work.
People have to do the work themselves. They have to do the reading, do the research.
Yeah.
and they're going to be told and influenced by their friends, their family, their coworkers, but still in the end they're going to have to make their own decision on stuff. And a lot of stuff with Bitcoin, everything with Bitcoin it's freely available.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do anything with Bitcoin, you just put in the time and you could fucking do it yourself. And the same applies to understanding the fundamentals of it. It doesn't take a lot of effort to do that. You just have to do that first step in that journey, and then you'll fucking understand. So the onus is on people to do that. Granted, they have other things that they have to do. Like you're joking, they're too busy because, fuck, people are working 2-3 jobs or family responsibilities. I get, but
Totally.
that's why we're here. We're trying to educate as many people as possible. And I don't care if these shitcoiners, I mean, it fucking sucks that they're there, but in the end, Bitcoin is going to be Bitcoin. You can't fuck with it. You can't change it. Anytime people try to do it, these forks, they just don't work in the end. They just don't have the same following, the same money, the same capital, the same anything behind it. A lot of it is all centralized garbage.
Yeah.
And if I, just even with like XRP, if I can't run a node myself without being validated and
even if you were running a node, you wouldn't be able to get to the beginning of the chain, right?
It's
they
stuck.
lost 30,000 blocks or whatever they call them, I guess.
That's incredible. And with Bitcoin, you go right to the Genesis block if you wanted to. It's going to be like 700 gigabytes, give or take, but it's there. And yeah. So let's talk about, this is a good segue to another one, because Blockspace Media, they posted something erroneous about Swan. And they were saying that Swan Bitcoin was funded by Ripple. And this is through some court documents that they allegedly read. And this is how they deciphered it. But apparently they came out with this. There's a lot of backlash. Corey was on there saying this is not the truth. In fact, Blockspace even had to redact the posting, and they posted this saying an earlier version of the article mischaracterized legal and business documents regarding Swan and other counterparties. We erroneously reported the legal documents from Tether's lawsuit against Swan and UCC filings Blockspace obtained indicating that Swan took financing from Ripple. These documents did not prove financing. The error resulted from Blockspace misreading and misunderstanding the documents. So, a lot of people were giving Swan a lot of crap after this came out initially, and Corey was taking it left and right. And I'm not sure. There still may be some connection with Ripple. I don't know. I'm not there. I can't say. But
Predator doesn't seem willing to drop it yet. That's a good signpost, right? At least not last I checked. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, I think it's possible that there's still something there.
So, and you're saying about a Bitcoiner out there that you haven't heard of anything like in terms of getting picked up by the police or this and that. Like Corey may be the closest one of the Bitcoiner that is just really taking it hard from the community.
He just keeps making these, like, they're unforced errors, are they not? Whether it was the custody thing with the Fortress stuff, the media company, the mining, again, the videos of him like popping 3-point shots at his little conference there couldn't have been more ill-timed. I don't think the guy's not a con man, I don't think that. I just think he takes his eye off the ball too often. And maybe this is an example of him doing that. I'm not sure. It sounds like he's pretty convinced, or he's, concerned that the stuff going around is false. But Ripple does appear in the documents. So what is that Ripple? What is the relationship there is the question that needs to be answered. And Predator, to his credit, is unwilling to just drop something because Corey tells him to. The benefits of being a NIM, I suppose. But
I can't speak on Predator.
On it. Yeah.
Isn't the whole thing the connection because Fortress was
it's part of that. It's part of those legal documents.
Yeah. So, and Swan was using them as the custodian. So maybe I don't know. I don't want to get into this. It just seems like somebody misread it and then reported it on X, and then people ran with it, and they didn't do proper diligence here. They were just, unfortunately, they just fucked around with this information. They misread it. It's too bad. And gave somebody a black eye that probably didn't need to get a black eye this time. Maybe in the future he does, but this particular moment, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this One Key Pro? It's a hardware wallet.
I have not. I did see this in the show stories. I didn't do any research on this though.
Yeah, so I came across it. It looks snappy, right? Because it claims to be open source in both the firmware and software. So that sounds good. Has a nice 3.5 inch, which is relatively big touchscreen on it. So these are.
Let me just hold on. Let me timestamp that. What did you say? 3.5 inch, relatively big. That was at 39 minutes and 35 seconds. Okay, I'll be keeping that one for later. Go ahead.
That's why I said it's relatively. So the land of I don't want to say. I can say behind. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, this One Key Pro hardware wallet. Keep in mind, it is a wallet for Bitcoin and shitcoins, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they have stuff on there that you probably never even heard of. Not just that, even NFTs. You could use the store in here. So, my opinion, always go with a Bitcoin only wallet, signing device, whatever the fuck you want to call it, because those are the ones open source. At least you can review the code. I'm not going to touch any of that stuff. And you know what? Interestingly enough, Coinbase Ventures was one of the companies that helped fund this. They're a backer of One Key Pro, so they have vested.
I like they have a titanium backup kit at least. That's nice. That's good.
Yeah, you could buy that on Amazon. Those you talking about the one on the top left? That
the One Key tag. What do you think this costs? Let's see what it costs.
I'll say 35 USD. 59
US. That's a lot.
US or Canadian because you're on a Canadian. I don't know.
US.
Either way, fuck it.
Insane.
Don't deal with this stuff. It looks nice. It looks fancy. It looks all this. But when you deal with shitcoins, you don't know what else is going to be in there. Even though it's open source, it's just adding new attack vectors that could potentially fuck you over. If you simply go with Bitcoin, something that's tried, tested, and true, community has used it for years. You don't have any issues with it. These are the ones you should use. I say the cold card Q is Mark IV. I like Q is very good. There's lots of good options out there, but those are the ones that at least the cold card Mark IV is the one that I use, so I could talk about that confidently because I use it. Others, check them out, make your own decision, but definitely the One Key is not a good one.
I would pull this up, but it has my postcode on it. The Walmart in Canada, the Walmart CA website is selling this thing for $531. The One Key Pro. Yeah.
Is it loaded with a whole bunch of Solana?
No, there's no strategic reserves on there. It's empty. It's open box. I would first of all, I'd never buy anything from Walmart like this, but absolutely insane that it's almost $600. It's like a PS5 basically. Or a One Key Pro. You decide which one you're going to get more fun and value out of. I would argue the Sync is where you get the more value. It's interesting that these things are being sold at Walmart though, right? Like I don't want to say most wallet providers don't try and do big box, but I think that actually is the case. You don't see this stuff unless it's Ledger or Trezor at stores like Best Buy. Maybe Walmart has them. I don't know. For good reason. There's a security issue there. There's an OPSEC issue there. You don't want someone fishing around in the Best Buy warehouse, resealing devices, stuff like that. So you just don't see it very often. These guys don't care. I mean, you saw the website. I had it up on the screen there, a picture of like some woman. I think it was a woman anyway. It was like a sort of androgynous looking human anyway, showing an NFT on the screen. You get what you pay for most of the time, but this is not one of those cases. Was
it a rare sat?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Huge waste of money.
Remember that fucking garbage?
Of course,
and
I remember.
It's
still going. Ordinals and rare sats and stuff are still going, apparently.
Well, it's not going to disappear as long as there's a scam, and if somebody's willing to buy into it.
Suckers born every minute.
And so, and the company they affiliated with the conference, they built that marketplace for those rare sats.
That's right. Yeah.
What come on, man. Like there's so many red flags here.
He hates Bitcoin Magazine.
Why should I not? What do they do?
The hate, it's like a seething, burning, like the heat of 1,000 suns within you for Bitcoin Magazine.
Could you imagine who are they going to bring up for this Bitcoin conference? I would love this.
We'll see.
We had RFK Jr. 2 times ago.
Yeah.
We had Trump. And
RFK was last year too. He was there 2 years in a row.
But he was the keynote.
Oh, yeah.
And
side note, I was on a call today with Canadian Bitcoin conference organizers talking about the lineup, offering my feedback and suggestions.
Looking forward to that.
That's going to be a good conference, in October.
Yes. So I'm not going. And it's not because I don't like. I have other things planned just immediately afterwards. So
Yeah.
I would have liked to have gone. I like the people there. I wish them the best of success, and I think
Yeah.
you're going to be going to that.
Yeah, I'll be
Are
there
you-
for sure. I'll be
Yeah.
speaking. I'm sure I'll find some niche to talk about. Anyway, what else we got?
See this brain wallet fiasco?
I did not, but go ahead.
So okay, brain wallet is a very simple way to. It's many years ago to secure your Bitcoin. You could generate a common passphrase. You could generate a private key using a common passphrase. Like you could say, "I like Joey," and you can punch it into your brain wallet, and that is going to be a private key, so you can start signing your Bitcoin. So in terms of hacking that, it's easy. It's through brute force. You can just simply use simple common phrases, slogans, shit like that, and you can get into somebody's wallets. This was stuff that was done years ago. So people brute force these all the time, and there was one that was just done this past week. It turned out that two competing entities were found access to the same Bitcoin. And in order to get the Bitcoin, each of them were trying to do an RBF, or replace by fee, of the other one. And there was several RBFs done through the time. Eventually, the fee itself, the RBF, was one Bitcoin, just one, like shy of one.
I thought
Bitcoin.
it was like 0.917 or something, right?
Yeah, we'll call it one Bitcoin. So that's a lot. So somebody out there got wrecked. They had some Bitcoin in there, and now it's gone as a result. So what I'm trying to get at, there's a lot out there in terms of people that have Bitcoin and they think that's still secure. If you do stuff like this, it's not. You have to have proper entropy, roll the dice, use the cold card. There's other ways you could use a deck of cards, for instance, and there's a number of different ways, but do it the fucking proper way. Just simply relying on a common phrase to get access to your Bitcoin, that's a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, this person has learned the hard way. People out there, learn from people's mistake like this. Imagine you had more than one Bitcoin just lost because you were just too lazy. Man, I'd go nuts if that's the case.
That'd be brutal. It would be brutal.
Like, could you imagine, like, and in
I don't
5
even know.
years?
I did something stupid with entropy with a cold card years ago now. I can't remember how much it was worth at the time. Probably $1,000, $2,000, something like that.
And you came out.
It's probably like gotta be 10 grand minimum, right? I'm pretty sure.
Don't give it, because then you're kind of doxing how much it is that you had. But whatever.
No, that was what was on the cold card. That doesn't dox how much I had, but I'm saying like that.
No,
that was probably like that's when MVK says stuff like you got to secure your Bitcoin like it was worth 10 times as much. That's why he says that. So you don't use phrases to secure. It's too easy. It's got to be random.
You could use a phrase on top of an existing 12 or 24 words.
Sure.
And that's a passphrase.
Sure.
And you could put a very challenging one to hack. Many words, capitals, dots, commas, anything. And then brute forcing that, it would take a computer a long time. So stuff like that, I agree with. But using this brain wallet that's just is not safe, and it's very old at this particular moment. So
yeah.
And with respect to what happened to you, I got to give you credit because you came out publicly and said what happened. Then Cold Card reacted to that, and they issued a new firmware. And if you try to set up a Cold Card with simply rolling a dice, or the dice just a few amount of times, it will warn you saying that the entropy is going to be low and you're at risk for getting rugged. So if you want to continue. So through your actions, Cold Card was able to change their ways, and hopefully people in the future don't get rugged as well. That's I like the fact that you came out and told that story.
Yeah, it turned out really well. And I think we gave away a cold card or two as well based on that event. Pretty sure somebody won a cold card off the show, if I remember correctly.
Did you see that the Swiss Central Bank, they came out this past week and they're talking about Bitcoin? Their president, Martin Schlegel, I don't know, maybe I pronounced that.
I don't envy you these names every week from like all sorts of different European places. I wish you the best in these endeavors, but I guarantee you're not batting that well. You're no Tony Gwynn, I'll tell you that.
He was a fucking great player too, and a heck of a human being, by the way. We lost a good one. He was a really nice guy. They were talking about Bitcoin, doesn't like it, doesn't want to add it to their treasury in the Swiss National Bank because they're saying it's a lack of stability, liquidity concerns, and security risks with Bitcoin. And it's isn't conducive to maintaining the value of the S&B investments. That's the Swiss National Bank. and it's also susceptible to bugs and technical vulnerabilities. But in the not too distant past, we had bailouts from the SNB to some commercial banks. 2008, they bailed out UBS to the tune of $60 billion to help it regain capital and take on illiquid assets. And then in 2023, they opened a credit line to UBS and Credit Suisse because, well,
very normal behavior. Yeah.
And, you know, in fact, the Swiss National Bank created something called, quote unquote, bad bank. And this is to take on toxic assets from UBS. So these are the things they're willing to invest in, secure, back, do it, and just interact with. But Bitcoin, that has a lack of stability, liquidity concerns, and security risks. If these motherfuckers just hold on to their keys, they're safe. And obviously they don't want to do that, but the Swiss National, this is the last bank that backed up their currency with gold, if I recall correctly. It was at the early 90s. They basically untethered it. So, like,
also notorious for like being separate from the rest of the financial system in terms of like KYC. It's not called a Swiss bank account for nothing, right? They don't just make that country up. They don't just pick a country with a dart throw. There's a reason they use the Swiss prefix there.
They should stick this to making watches because they're just terrible when it comes to this financial advice.
Definitely want a Swiss movement. No quartz movements here.
These guys were playing with swatches, if you remember those. So yeah, what the fuck? Clearly, this guy's a no coiner. Like, it's just another one. Whatever.
What do you expect them to say though? Like, what do you expect these guys to say? They have to say something now, which is, I think, half the battle for us. There was a time when they didn't have to say anything; they just ignored what we were doing and what was happening. But now they have no choice. One, because the price is so high. Two, because it's in the news thanks to Trump.
We respect the technology of Bitcoin. We understand that it is a scarce asset. We are not going to buy in at this particular moment because it's still too new and we're learning about it. We're not going to shit on it, calling it not secure, unstable, vulnerabilities. Because where's the vulnerability? Where has it? Like, when is the last time the network has gone down that you can't fucking say? I could tell you with the banks every so often, at least here in Canada, there's an outage that you don't have access. ATMs go up because our cellular network goes down. That's a real
nightmare. Remember that? That was so funny a couple of years ago. Oh my God.
And then you don't have access. And then others, there's just, your money's not there for whatever reason. There's problems with the bank. There's like, really? Like, that's the stuff you're going to, these guys might as well fucking buy XRP and fucking hitch their horses on that fucking thing. But I don't get it. These guys, they're just living in the past, and they're going to continue living in the past. And until we get some new blood in there that understand the technology and talk about it the way we should be talking, they don't have to buy in, but at least talk the truth about it publicly. Behind closed doors, they probably are.
Maybe.
But publicly, these guys are. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right with that.
Do you want to talk tariffs maybe before we go over to the notables?
Isn't that a notable or no?
Do you? I don't know. Do you have it in notables? I forget if you do or not.
Yeah, I got it. Like, we could talk to like. Let's go right to notables.
Okay, we'll go to notables. Yeah, if you're on audio, see you tomorrow. If you're on video or on Twitter, continue to hang with your friends here on the CBP Media Network. Until next time, take care of yourselves,
and don't be a Swiss central banker.
Nice. I made. I showed Len this. I've been meaning to make. I'm just gonna play it here. I don't have it on my phone. Shit.
Is that sound?
Yeah, I've been meaning to make for the old hip hop heads the Capone and Noriega song "Invincible." That, like, the hook where DJ Premier grabs samples of Noriega saying "Invincible, Untouchable, CNN." I started to make one in Koala on my iPhone called "Invincible," and it's like "Invincible, Untouchable, CBP." I got some great clips of Len for the chorus too, for the hook, talking about. What was the one? $175 for a painting from an Inuit carver or something like that. It's so great. I can't.
And that was actually decent value considering what else was
compared to most of the stuff in that portfolio. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, but I'm going to try and work that into the show intro at some point. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but anyway.
Yes,
some business on air there. Tariffs. Let's talk tariffs.
Tomorrow's the big day, Joey.
Okay, so I got some data here. For people who think it's not going to be a big deal, I'm talking to you, Mark Carney, moron Mark. We supply all the semiconductors to America, even though we're actually 0.8% of all semis that go to America. Completely insane this guy is speaking this way. Although I do grant that he did it at Flying Monkey Brewery, and having been the Flying Monkey Brewery, I will note that many of the beers there are like 9 and 10% ABV. So maybe a guy that size, he's pretty small in stature, probably weighs about $120 soaking wet. Might have hit him a little harder than he thought. And maybe he misspoke. I don't know. But a couple things, okay? In terms of like the inflation story here, the rates in Canada right now are like what, 3%? I wish I'd written this down. I think they're about 3%.
And next week we have either
we're going to get a cut. We're going to get a cut for sure. We're already heading lower anyways because of renewals. The bank can say whatever they want, but we don't care about renewals. We're here to protect, and we're here to maintain steady inflation or whatever. I don't buy it. No one should buy it. They say they're not political. No one should buy that either. Tiff Macklem is being bullied by every politician at all times, and probably also by his co-chair, Carolyn Rogers. The rates are 3% right now. That was before the tariffs landed, right? Macklem has been steadfast in his public addresses since then. One we talked about last week and shared a clip of, or 2 weeks ago, maybe, I forget, of him basically saying, look, we can't do anything here in Canada. We got a big problem. We don't produce enough. We're not productive as an economy. We're going to take a hit. We can do our best to ease the landing as far as like hitting a lower cruising altitude for the economy, but we're going to be at a lower cruising altitude. Things are going to get worse here. Len and I are talking before the show on Discord for the Discord members about like why the Canadian dollar is not a place you want to be. 68 cents right now and probably going to fall even further. So that's a problem. Yeah, TIFF has not been good, Boomer. I totally disagree with that. 13% of the CPI basket in Canada is imported from the US. That is, I want you to hear this one more time. 13% of the CPI basket in Canada is imported from the US. There's going to be a 25% hit with tariffs outside of your control on the CPI basket. That's going to raise inflation. At the same time,
the tariffs, from what I got, correct me if I'm wrong, the tariffs are going to be placed on Canadian goods.
Yeah.
In the United States. So if somebody is selling a good into the United States, it was subjected to...
We're planning on doing reciprocal tariffs.
Oh, is that the case?
That's what I hear. So if we do that, 13% of the CPI basket is imported from the United States.
And that's going to the 25%.
That's going to whack us, yeah. And so your cost of living is going to go up significantly. That's going to happen while rates are heading lower. So you're going to get rising inflation, lowering rates, and then on top of that, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, this is the most recent estimate, this about a month ago now, I would imagine, but maybe there's another one coming or one coming soon. 2.6% drop in GDP. That's like disastrous. You just don't see that kind of drop in GDP outside of like COVID. COVID was obviously a significant outlier, but disastrous. Don't forget too that most of Canada is on some kind of payment plan from the government. There's a huge chunk of the population that's receiving pensions as their only source of income. Those are fixed income vehicles. And a lower dollar means that they just can't buy as much. And when 40% of your country is boomers on pensions and 20% of your country is immigrants on free money, you got a problem. That's a big, big problem for the country. And then, one thing I'll add here, in 2023, exports to the United States land made up 21.5% of the GDP. That when you hear Trudeau, Carney, Freeland, Anand now, who's risen from the dead like Jesus Christ to run again after being dead for 3 days, when you hear them say that we're going to retaliate and it's going to hurt the United States, they're not telling you the truth. They either don't get it or they just hope you don't get it. The numbers I just read you are basic. I think if you ask somebody like Keith Dicker or Rich Diaz, right, who work for IceCap, who really manage money, that's a significant hit. And so, so Boomer, I'm glad you're asking that in the chat, how much that is energy, because there's a thought that the energy might be exempted. Here's the problem, okay? Even if energy is exempted, do you not think that America is going to start trying to get the energy from somewhere else anyways? Are they not going to start trying to do the crude that we do a different way? Are they not going to try this? And
they're going to find the cheapest. It's a free market.
And that's if, and I think this is a bigger if than people realize, That's if Carney loses. If Carney wins a federal election, he is gonna bear down on Alberta harder than any prime minister has ever bared down on Alberta. And that entire energy sector is gonna pay the price. And you will pay the price as a Canadian. The number of things happening here is insane. And people are just floating along. I was at a party on the weekend. Everyone talking about, I don't buy American anymore. I'm not going on American vacation. Nobody, I'm going to look at the camera. Nobody gives a fuck what Canadians are doing over there. Nobody gives a fuck, okay? You're a drop in the bucket. You don't matter. But for them, they are all that matters to our economy, more or less. All that matters. Everything, all this other stuff about their politicking, Carney saying this stuff, like, it's nonsense. It's nonsense.
Joey, we've had for years, for fucking years here, and not just here. Everywhere, it's been a global thing. They wanted to open things up. They wanted to buy from here, there, and everywhere else, not from here. Now that works well until one of the most important cogs in the fucking machine ceases to turn.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening here.
Do you know what else is happening too? Sorry to cut you off. You can keep going after this. But for people who say, well, they're not going to do it, Trump is just bluffing. You know that Mexico today agreed to match the tariffs on China that the U.S. is planning to put on. Do you think we have the nuts to do that over here? For people who think it's a bluff, it's working over there. Scheinbaum is doing it for Mexico. Do you think we're going to put tariffs on China? Do you think our country infiltrated at the highest levels by Chinese communist operatives, according to some people? Do you think we're going to put tariffs on China? Dude, Chinese nationals walking into casinos with hockey bags full of cash on camera. Are we going to put tariffs on China? Really? That's what we ain't got it. We ain't got it.
Take this back. The Bank of Canada, I'm not convinced they're going to even cut. The reason why is if they do that, they're really showing their cards here that they want to see the Canadian dollar go down in value.
They do want to see that. They need a blow-off valve. It's going to be the currency. We can't take a hit in real estate values. Defaults at a 10-year high, I think still very low, but at a 10-year high or even higher than that. Like you're gonna see all these things rolling downhill one after another. And the thing is that the mask, to your point, the mask is gonna come off. They only care about one thing, and it's protecting the economy or protecting quote unquote the economy. But it's gonna come at the cost of the dollar. The nominal value of the economy is gonna drop significantly, whether that number stays up or not.
I can see the bank just holding still, and even saying that they're
gonna cut 100%. They're gonna cut.
Because the reason why is if the Federal Reserve hasn't budged in a while, right? And they're just creating a further divide between the cuts.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So Boomer's saying it too. It doesn't matter. It's like, they don't care. It doesn't matter. They're stuck. They are. Because instead of trying to grow productivity, we imported 1 million immigrants and just hoped that we could bump that GDP number up a little bit. It cost us big. It was a lost decade in terms of economic growth. And we're about to hit another lost decade for a much more difficult reason to deal with.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Boomer's saying fiscal dominance. For people who don't know, fiscal dominance is basically like, it doesn't matter what the banks do. The government's just going to print ad infinitum forever into deficits, into debts, for all kinds of nonsense, just to try and keep you from starving to death. I mean, that's an exaggeration for some people in Canada, but not others, unfortunately. But that's where we are. It's not hard to picture, right? Like, I know Boomer's a TIF apologist. He was a Sailor apologist earlier in the night.
Wasn't TIF the guy that said like a while back that that inflation's going to stay low, rates are going to stay low.
Yeah, and rates are going to stay low for a long time.
December 2020, if I recall correctly, and just a year later they were super high comparatively. So really, you can't listen to what he's saying. You can't trust what he's saying.
Okay, so what do you think here? Let's take a page out of the Looney Hour playbook. Are you betting on a cut or a halt or a raise? What do you think next week?
Definitely not a raise. If I'm going to I'll say a halt. I'll say that they're going to just do nothing. That's my guess, and then go from there. And after they're going to see where the cards fall after the tariffs if indeed the tariffs stay on. And then from that point, they're going to pivot. It's going to be very much reactionary. And I don't think there's enough time to react, and there's enough data for them to react at this moment. We'll see.
Let's move on.
All right. Zelensky.
I love it.
Trump?
I love it. What a dressing down of a guy who's just been stomping all over incompetent politicians the world over for the last 3 years. This is great stuff. I think this is fantastic.
I can't believe that this happened in a public setting.
It was on purpose.
No, to a degree, it was on purpose. To a degree, emotions got the better of a few people, right? Like when you get to when you get into an argument.
Did you see the whole clip? Did you see the whole clip?
I watched
it's like 17 minutes or something.
I watched a 50-minute clip.
That's the one. Yeah, 15. Sorry. Yeah.
No, 50.
Oh, okay. You watched the whole thing in instant. Yeah, good for you. Good.
Because
that is the way to do it. That is the way to do it. Yeah.
I wanted to get context.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think sparked the argument?
Well, Zelensky wanted the United States to provide security guarantees moving forward. He wanted.
But
that.
I mean, like in that moment, like I think, Boomer's kind of hinting at it. I think Zelensky tried to get one up on Vance, and Vance didn't like it, and then Trump just put him in his place.
Zelensky kept pushing the fact that he wanted a NATO style promise, but just with one country, just with the United States. Now, the problem, I think that he didn't fully digest. If they went ahead with this rare metal, whatever the fuck they call it, if they went ahead with that agreement and they allowed the United States to get access to that, the way I figured it is United States companies would go in, extract it, and then export it for processing elsewhere. Those U.S. companies operating there, doing their thing, if somehow they get attacked or that area gets annexed, that would be a threat against the United States directly. And I could see just having those companies there would be enough of a deterrent for anything to happen in that area. The rest of Ukraine, I can't particularly say. But from that area, so I think that's what he should have understood, is that having those companies there doing their thing, extracting and then sending it off, is the guarantee. Because who the heck is going to want to attack that area and fuck over companies that are doing the work over there, probably U.S. workers too at that, when the U.S., they have claim to that area? That's right. So he overplayed his deck of cards, which he didn't have. They kept talking about playing cards, which I found to be pretty funny.
We're not playing cards. Like, okay, we know Vladimir Zelensky. Add another Y to your last name. Fraud.
I think, like, watching that, eventually, like, when Trump got pissed, and then when it became, I think for a brief moment, that they totally forgot that they were in a room with a whole bunch of other people. I think that emotions got the better of them, and they're just going at it. And I can't believe that type of argument happened in a public setting. And I think just through that, we understand what happens in a private setting. That type of debate, that type of dialogue would happen also in a private setting. Is I always wondered, I find it fascinating how Trump would just talk with somebody, with a partner, adversary, somebody's trying to do business, whatever. I think that's essentially how it's done when you have somebody that's coming in and trying to show off that he's a bigger dick than Trump. And in this case,
good luck.
He didn't.
Yeah.
So
he's another guy who thinks 3.5 is above average. Yeah.
He's quite a tiny guy. Did you hear?
Here on CBP, we're tonight on CBP speculating on the cock size of various world leaders.
I'm talking about his stature.
Come for the second segment where we'll speculate on the length and girth of.
RFK Jr. was saying that he passed it by him in a hall. He said he's a tiny guy. Did you see that?
Yeah. He looks pretty small.
Yeah, but that's a different argument altogether. I can't believe that this happened. And like, he should have been, this is just hyperbole. I'm not saying that he should have been made a grease spot after that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this should have been done, but this is just,
well, I mean, pragmatically, the funny thing is he went to Fox News after that for a segment with Brett Baer, and this whole thing had already happened, and Baer probably abandoned whatever line of questioning he had for him and basically said, like, what the fuck was that? And are you going to go back to the White House? Are you going to apologize? He said, no, I'm not going back to the White House. Even if I'm invited, I'm not going back. I was thrown out, blah, blah, blah. Then yesterday, I think it was, it comes out that they're willing to sign this mineral deal for $500 billion, whatever the number is. It's like some insane number of dollars here in value. So make of all this stuff what you will. People get upset about the way Trump carries himself, and we've been critical of Trump on this show. But at the end of the day, you have to admit that the tactics seem to be working. Strong arming these guys with economic and military pressure is working. It's working on us.
Well,
it's working on Ukraine. It's working on Europe. By the way,
with respect to Ukraine, what have they gotten so far to date?
Yeah.
Well, how much have they pumped into there?
Oh, hundreds of billions, if not more. Yeah.
So what are they at? So they got zilch from this.
Yeah.
I can understand it if it's Poland, Germany, Romania, like some countries over there that are trying to fund this because they're closer to the front lines. And if Ukraine falls, they could be next after that. But here, let's say like North America, it's different, right? We don't have that same type of exposure. It sucks that you have this going on. It sucks that you have an army invading a country. But there comes a point in time, it's like, what are you getting? What type of value are you getting?
What are you supposed to do? Yeah, what are you supposed to just keep dropping dollars over there, dropping men? And now you got Starmer talking about how he wants to send boots on the ground to Ukraine.
No,
like what? Like, what
I
is
sent
that?
I sent you this link, and I can't believe this is true. They have 25. And I got to confirm this to be true. Apparently, they have 25 operational tanks in the UK. 25.
Insane. That's it. Is that more or less than us? We might have more than that. Jesus.
I checked. Canada has way more. The Leopard 2, I believe, is the name of the tank. We have way more.
Is that from the
operational
VHS
tanks?
Era? What era is that from?
Whatever it is, at least it's operational.
They were manufactured the same year that Home Alone 2 came out. Is that like where we're like, what are we talking?
It's still good enough. I'll take that versus the 25 they have. Like they should make United Kingdom the 51st state. You come in with 26 tanks. That's enough to say, okay, boys, you're one up on us. It's all yours.
Do you know what stat I thought was
interesting? Stop you with guns.
Crazy interesting stat here. Europe, since the course of the war, since the war started, Europe has spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they've spent defending Ukraine. Sit on that one for a sec. They bought more Russian oil. Now, I don't know if that's direct or through India or China or whatever, but
I'd like to know if that number has gone down.
I don't know. That's a Trump Truth Social post.
Yeah.
And people say what they want about that guy spitting lies or spitting half truths. I haven't seen anyone contradict that.
So to go back, they need oil regardless. They have to get it right. So I'd like to know, is that trending downwards or stable or going up? I don't know. And yeah,
Paulie in the chat here. I'm just posting Paulie's thing.
And that is
to that end. 200 million of Russian oil bought by Canada since 24. Insane. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah.
You know how many you could buy, like 8 or 10 small houses with 200 million, I'm pretty sure. Couldn't you? How many tiny houses could you buy with 200 million? 10? 12?
You can't anymore. They put that guy to shame and they said
geez,
order.
Too bad. So, could have got some more. 200 million, you could get at least a few of them.
So I'd like to know the number if it's trending. If it's going down, then they're doing what they can to buy less Russian oil because they're dependent on it, right? Yeah. They can't just simply say we're not going to buy any.
I never forget that clip of Trump at the UN saying to the German contingent, like, you guys are idiots. And they're laughing at him. Who's laughing now? Has there ever been a better self-own than that? These guys like cackling and, oh, he's so stupid. No, you're stupid. You're the ones now who are going to get rolled over by the Russian war machine. It's unbelievable. This I hate to praise politicians because I think, again, they're all like feathering their own nest at some level. But how many things was this guy right about?
You know, there's one thing that I'm shocked about in a way is I know the Ukrainian army is getting a lot of assistance from a number of countries, just through financial and through munitions as well. But the Russian army, think of all the money they spent through its history when you're the Soviet Union, and they have nuclear weapons, they have all this shit, and they essentially it's a stalemate. There may be some ground giving and taking. I thought that would have been done like so quickly. Like, this is the mighty Russian army. How fucking pathetic are they as an army
I don't know.
if they can't achieve these objectives?
How do you know they want to? Like, what is their objective?
To take over whatever land they're trying to take over. And the fact that they're still fighting, they haven't achieved what they're trying to achieve. If they stop fighting, they would say, "Oh, we did it, and we'll go home." But they're not willing to fight. They have poor leadership, shitty equipment, combination of all that. I don't know.
Len about to find a cyanide pill in his nighttime glass of milk, I'm pretty sure, after these comments. Igor's stopping by your house anytime now here. Don't open the door.
It's just it's the reality. So if you see what if that happens, ladies and gentlemen, you know what truly happened. It's the Russians got me. They even gone so far as to get you North Korean soldiers to help fight them. Like, how pathetic is that? Like, oh my god, like, this is the world we live in. Like, anyways, it's traditional warfare. It's I don't know. It's a dying art in a way. Like it's
asymmetrical now in a way that it hasn't been before. There's been stories, obviously, of like Russia. You know, Russia has a $10,000 drone that'll take down $100,000 chopper. You know, a $10 million chopper or whatever. Right. This is the changing landscape of war is significant.
You see, that's what they should be asking for, the drone technology, because apparently they're so good over there. Could you imagine they could send it over here? They could fund their war with TikToks. You could have that shit go around, you know, going down roller coasters and stuff like that. Think of all the views you could get.
Yeah.
What's that?
Doing the map stance or something. Yeah. Have these guys just.
That's what they should. They should monetize their fucking drone industry this way. There's a
Oh well.
Epstein Island.
Who cares about? Does anyone really care that much about this?
I do.
Do you really think you're ever going to get those files?
No.
Like, are we really? Come on. No. We're not going to get. No one's ever going to get those.
No, but the fact that we're getting played like this over and over again, it's bullshit. This information, and you had this. Who's in the PM? What's their name?
Pam Bondi, the AG, trying to get Cash Patel to give up the docs. No docs being given, apparently. I don't know. I don't keep up that much with it. I'm not the guy to ask about Epstein these days.
It's pathetic in a number of different ways that we're never gonna get it. And the questions surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, he died, right? And
allegedly,
the connection we had between the people going there and even people closer to home here in Canada. I'm not going to say any names, but you could, you know, fill in the blanks.
Carney.
Hey,
Mark, talk about the picture, Mark. It'll come up in the debate. I can't wait for that. That's going to be good.
But who knows? Maybe the other guy also has something too.
You think Pierre's there too? I don't know.
I have no fucking clue. Maybe. Like, there's a lot of things that go on. The society is tiered. There's multiple layers to it, and at least me, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to I'm so far from the top.
Oh, same.
So,
buddy, we're in the basement talking shit to our internet friends. You're playing video games that are 30 years old. Like, neither of us are going to any Epstein parties or carnivals with Epstein and Ghislaine there.
I refused even to go to the fucking conference down in South. Imagine the island. I'm never gonna fucking go there. Whatever. This is a funny story, Joey. It's one that it shows that crime does pay in a way, and the UK government, they ended up buying the Albanian government almost £500,000 worth of electric cars, 15 electric cars in total. And the reason why they did this is because they have 200 Albanian prisoners.
I love this.
In the UK system. And because they're overrun, they want to get rid of them somehow. So they decided to buy the Albanian government these 15 electric vehicles for almost £500,000. And with the vehicles comes those 200 prisoners, so they could take this. They say the donation of the 15 electric vehicles was not only a drive towards net zero, but also part of a wider deal between the two countries to send over. So to drive towards net zero, they fucking
we're driving towards net zero with these cars. We're driving there.
So there it is. Crime does pay. The Albanian government ended up getting these cars, £500,000 worth. And all I had to do is just send over some delinquents over there to cause some crime. That's a wonderful story.
Hey, so is there going to be a push from the IMF and other global banking cartels to ban electric cars because they're used in ransom situations? Or is that Bitcoin only that gets that treatment? Interesting.
What's the range?
We got to start a petition. We need to ban electric cars because they're being used as ransom currency in ransom situations. We can't have that. That's not good. We don't want that.
We should have criminals use them, especially in cold weather. So that way, once they start driving away 150 kilometers, 100 miles later, they're out of
Oh
juice.
my god. Oh my
your,
god.
your, your shitty gas car might be a little bit slower, but it will get there and then beyond. So
Unbelievable. You'll have time to stop in an en route for sure.
And let's talk about this first transgender clinic located
This
in
is nuts. I
Hyderabad, India.
had to do like a triple take on this story. I'm gonna pull this up. You give the story. I'm gonna pull it up from the show notes here.
Yeah, so this
When you in the show notes for people who don't, me and Len shares the stories with me Sunday, Monday, whatever. When I make the brain rot clickbait thumbnail that I'm trying to get better at, and I had to do a double take at this because it just says NDA, and I thought this is like an NVIDIA story of some kind, but I guess not. And then I'm looking at this like, oh my god, this is like the most freakishly weird thing I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, so Mitter Clinic, located in Hyderabad, India, and it was India's first transgender clinic. It had to close because there was a freeze in funding from the United States USAID. We talked about USAID 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, but the funding is no longer flowing, and this funding freeze is part of a broader 90-day pause on all foreign aid. And the clinic, which opened in January 2021, provided crucial healthcare services to the LGBTQIA plus community, including general health consultations, HIV testing and treatment, mental health care, gender affirmation services, and legal guidance. By early 2025, so earlier this year, it served a grand total of 200 individuals monthly. And they registered over 4,900 patients.
200 monthly is a lot.
Let's hang on. I'm going to see the population.
Like I don't know, because gender affirming care is basically like, I'm pretty sure that just means top or bottom surgery. So that seems to me like significantly involved surgery. So 200 a month is almost 10 a day.
So the population of Hyderabad, India, is estimated to be 10.8 million people in 2023. So, yeah, 10.8 million.
A lot of surgeries. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. So there you go. Definitely, we're concerned about this.
We got to make sure that. Yeah. Let's go on. What's the next story?
Olivia Chow, Toronto's mayor.
She's back. She's back.
I'm not sure if you saw that video about her celebrating Jamaican Patty Day. She went to the Dufferin subway station and ordered a patty for herself and her staff. And shortly thereafter, she was complaining about that the city snow removal operations, it's causing some concern and some problems for residents because Toronto was hit by a pretty bad snowstorm about a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And Toronto took some time cleaning the snow. And Chow was expressing frustration with the state of roads and sidewalks. And she's very angry at how slow it takes to clear all that. And there's going to be a review happening about the contracts out there and the private snow companies that were contracted to clear the snow. And maybe some termination of contracts moving forward. But Jamaican patty, brother, that's what she's out there. Maybe she should have just ordered the spicy ones and then walk around with them, and maybe that could help clean the snow.
Weird that she didn't get a Jamaican patty at Caravana when she was there shaking her booty. Do you like Jamaican patties? You Jamaican patty guy?
Yeah, I do enjoy it. Not spicy, but actually. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I like patties. I haven't had one in a while.
Patty in a bun is like, it's really good.
It is good. I do like Jamaican patties. The Fortinos near my old place had a brand that I really liked. I can't remember the name of it now. It's been a few years. But yeah, reading the story, I thought, man, I wouldn't mind having a patty. It's been a while.
We should Uber Eats. Do it on the air. Eat it.
Yeah, call Uber Eats and just be like, hey, what's going on? Does Uber Eats is there even a patty restaurant?
I have no idea. You know, I have never ordered like a skip the dish, Uber Eats, like any of those delivery services. I've never.
Because you've never had a hangover. That's the only time you ever use it.
I used Uber once in my life. And then after that, they kept emailing me a $25 credit for Uber Eats, and I never use it. And for months, I was like, I don't want to use it. I just never did. I should have in the end. But yeah,
this place that I'm looking at here, True to Roots Jamaican, but I don't see any patties. A lot of like real Jamaican food, oxtail, curry goat, but no patties.
Loan delinquencies are on the rise in Canada. Scotiabank and BMO are saying that this is causing problems with their earnings. And they have provisions, at least Scotiabank, it was noted that their provisions for credit losses rose to $962 million. And that's
Is that a lot?
pretty fucking...
Seems like a lot.
And BMO's provisions is $627 million. And apparently the forecast was much lower. Now, I got to do some more digging into this, but it was forecasted at $922 million. Sorry, it was more than $922 million higher than what it should have been. Like, it's incredible. Anyways, these guys, they're preparing for the worst with respect to delinquencies. And you noted that, was it mortgage payments or something earlier in the show that they're going up when you're talking about?
The number of people missing payments is going up.
That's it. Sorry. So we're in for an interesting time over here, at least in Canada. Rent is going down. The value of homes are going down.
Yep.
And like that's obviously cause for concern for people that bought a home in the past 3, 4, 5 years when the price of homes were elevated. I wonder how many people are just simply going to walk away. Also, pre-cons. That's a fucking brutal one. There's a lot of people just in the past year or so. Like we talked about stories in the past.
Yeah, I'm going to get Soretsky on. Maybe he'll be my first interview back in a few weeks, because I do want to talk to him about the pre-con situation. These blanket financing pre-approvals that are keeping the market afloat in places like Toronto, where basically what's happening is people are getting approved for loans on the 3-year-old value of a condo. And then when the condo finally finishes and it's only actually worth, 75% of what you thought it was, instead of having to come up with the extra cash, what actually happens is you just use an old appraisal. So like there's a lot of finessing going on. Steve is the guy to talk to. Yeah, Boomer's talking about Aussie Jerk too. I do want to get Aussie on at some point. Real estate, look, in Bitcoin, we don't talk about real estate that much except to say that it's not where you should be planting your money. It's not a savings vehicle the way that it used to be, or you may think it is now. But real estate is really like a signpost for the Canadian economy in a way that not many other things are, because of the way that we've monetized housing in this country, and because of the way we've not built it to keep up with immigration, and because of the way boomers are basically retiring on the value of their homes. It's really a way to put your finger on the pulse of the economy and how the population is feeling about their economic outlook. And this tells you these sort of stories tell you everything you need to know. Banks preparing for defaults, people missing their mortgage. Like, you have to miss a lot of things before you miss your mortgage payment. You'd rather be walking to work and eating ramen than living on the street. And so to miss a mortgage payment is significant. We know it's been a problem because in the past, the Liberal government has told lenders to work with borrowers in terms of extending AMs, in terms of lowering payments, in terms of appraisals, in terms of first-time home buyer, tomfoolery, we'll call it. We know that the government doesn't actually care whether or not people can afford their mortgages because they refuse to tie pre-approvals to CRA data. It's just not on the table, it seems like. So we know all this stuff. And so when Len gives you a story about banks preparing for disaster, that, banks are the ones who are giving the loans. For them to give the loan and then also prepare for the fallout tells you that they know, but have no choice but to play the game. Just another card in the wind, and the wind is picking up, and you can't, there's no good outcome here, right? It's either devaluing currency, devaluing homes, putting people out on the street, or some combination of the three that leads people to the poorhouse anyways. It's a brutal set of potential flowcharts here for the average Canadian homeowner, especially like you said, Len, the last 3 or 4 years, especially if it's your first home. Like if it's your first home, you have to, if you took any money from your RRSP, you have about a decade to pay it back, I think. I forget how long you're supposed to take to pay it back.
Years.
15 years, whatever it is. You have to pay all of it back, or you get taxed on whatever you didn't put back. So you probably took that money. You probably emptied out your first-time home buyer's account if you had one of those, or your TFSA if you had one of those, whatever. You bought it based on the prospects that you'd have a job in 3 years, or that you'd get a raise over the course of that 3 years, or that your mortgage would go down over the course of that 3 years. It's possible that actually none of those things will come true for you. And so you'll go through the first term of your mortgage expecting to get a bit of a break on renewal for one or all three of those reasons and get none of them. And so what do you do? Like you said, Len, what do? You walk, you mail the keys in, right? Jingle mail, whatever they call it.
If it's a different way of looking at it, think of it like Bitcoin in a way. If you have no intention of trading your Bitcoin for anything for a long period of time, you don't care about the value of it, really. It's same with a home. If you have no intention of selling it because you plan on living it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the value then doesn't
matter. It's just a number on paper.
Yeah. So in those cases, it sucks. Like, it may hurt you in the end, but as long as you have a job, and that's the key, because the way things are going with the economy, and you have money that you're able to put away and pay off the mortgage, then the value of the home, like, it's just like you say, it's just a number. And so those are the people I think that are going to be able to stomach it the best. Or maybe even a drop in the price of homes is forcing people to become long-term holder of it.
Yeah.
It's just because the reality, maybe they were thinking, I'm going to buy this home and then flip it for something bigger or in a different area or whatever in the next few years. But then the economy and the way things are going with the market, it's changing their time horizon with respect to that. And maybe they're just not in the position to do that. So I don't know. When I look at the pre-con market, a lot of those people that are in it, I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of them are just investors.
Banks, and banks are trying to protect them, right? They don't want them to walk away because the thing is, like, the government has put themselves in this box where you need investors, because to build pre-con, you have to sell 80% of the units before you put the shovel in the ground.
Called a pyramid Ponzi.
Yes.
It's like all that shit,
yes.
right? Like, it's all that
yes,
shit.
It is that.
You need new money to come in to help prop up the old money that's there and give them an exit liquidity. Like, oh my God. And the thing that really makes this even worse is every time they do another mortgage and lending out money, that's new capital that's in the system that's just there, that's sloshing around. If it was done in a hard money system when you're capped, like Bitcoin, for instance, and I'm not trying to say we should go there right now, but maybe a slow transition to something like that. You can't have that. Like, the value of something would stay relatively stable. And it would only go up as demand goes up and go down when demand goes down and shit like that. Not when money gets introduced in the system. That's fucking bullshit. That's fiat, man.
Yeah, big time.
We got to get out of that.
People, and like, we'll probably close after this, but I would just tell people who think like Bitcoin is never going to work, we're never going to go back to hard money. People are already starting to intuitively realize there's problems with debt-based money, right? Like no one is taking your credit anymore the same way they were years ago. There's always more stipulations, always more guardrails. And like, a lot of people are sort of realizing in their day-to-day life, they don't want to take on debt anymore. Guys like Joe Barbuto, Economic Long Wave, has been saying for years that there's going to be a deleveraging, a forced deleveraging coming to the Canadian economy. And it's hard to argue with that. A lot of people have given him shit because he was a little early on the timeline, but it's hard to argue that this stuff is not coming down the pipe. And so whether or not you want to be part of a forced money economy, or want to save in a hard money, or want to only offer your services for hard money, eventually you will find that the other money is not as good as you thought it was. And by the way, Len, what is the other backdrop for all this? Declining Canadian dollar against materials, against labor, against everything. It's just, it's compounding, right? And you're gonna eventually have to pay the piper on all these things. And I think that time is coming a lot sooner than some people think.
What time horizon? What's your time frame for like Canadian dollar just no longer?
Canadian dollar 50 cents is less than 2 years away.
So let's go further.
Give me 3 years. Give me 3 years. I'll take 3 years on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had, I think it was 59, 60 cents around 2000.
And by the way, Canadian dollar 50 cents is a Canadian dollar weakness story and a US dollar strength story. It's not just ours. It's not just our currency that gets weaker. It's everyone that gets weaker against the dollar.
Are you part of the camp 29.x years before it's gone?
I still don't even know the lore of that story, the hyper Bitcoinization 30-year whatever thing. I don't get it.
Do you know, I don't want to say the name, but they rag on that guy all the time. Like, have you looked at who's been ragged on?
I see the messages. I'm not digging into it.
That was his thing. He said, it's going to last for 30 years. And then so every month that passed, they take a 29.x and 20. So now I think it's 28 point something years before fiat's gone. That's what he's saying. But that's what we're going to get at with you. So like, how long does fiat have? Like, how long does the Canadian dollar have in terms of lifespan? Do you think it's going to be around in 10 years? Is it going to be around in 20 years?
Well, like I already said before, like
5 years?
if you already don't save in Canadian dollars, so it's lost that functionality. Nobody saves in Canadian dollars. If you can save, you don't save in CAD.
Does anybody save in US dollars?
Yeah, people buy US currency and save. Yeah.
I would argue no. People are buying other things. They're buying houses.
No,
that are
nation states save it. Nation states save in the US dollar, right? They save in treasuries.
I'm talking about individuals.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Do people save in?
Because you're saying me, I'm using the equivalent. They're buying equities. They're buying. So they're buying everything. They're not holding on to that. So nobody's holding on to any currency.
At least they're buying US dollar denominated equities, though.
Still, it's in something else. They're hoping
Sure.
So it's parked in something else that may be the bottom line in USD, but they want the value of that to go up in accordance to the USD.
Yeah.
So like, how much longer does the Canadian dollar have?
Not long is my answer.
Is it going to go?
Say. Yeah.
So does it go first, or is it like the euro or the Canadian dollar goes first?
Look, we have to wrap this up in a second because I'm going to piss myself. But the thing I would say is that Canadian dollar going is something that happens in stages, right? So, for example, if I offer a service to people now, I always prefer to get paid in Bitcoin than I do to get paid in currency. The only reason, for example, you and me take Canadian dollars for the show sponsorships is because it's easier on the tax side. But at some point, it's going to become too burdensome to carry any cash balances at all. And it's just going to be Bitcoin, and I'll sell Bitcoin to pay taxes or whatever. And like you're getting closer and closer to that. And the other thing we talked about before is this idea that if you tokenize, this world where everything is tokenized, like the U.S. administration seems to want to do, how many people would stop using currency altogether? How many people would just pay somebody in shares of the S&P or shares of Apple, shares of Amazon? Like everyone would do this instead. Nobody actually wants, this is the thing, nobody actually wants these currencies. They prefer almost anything else, but it's not easy enough. There's too much friction. If you remove that friction, that's why when I hear people say, "Oh, the Trump administration is going to tokenize everything," no, they are not. That is a death knell for the dollar, and they're not interested in that at all. At least not for the time being. Yeah, at least not for the time being. Anyway, let's wrap up.
Like that. Yeah.
God bless everyone. See you on Wednesday, or Len will, anyways, for his interview. And until next time, take care of yourselves.
And don't be a cop.